Hello, welcome to my corner. I've put my monstera here, and today we're going to be looking at some portfolio pieces that I did before I started going to ArtCenter College of Design. The pieces I'm going to show you are pretty much the ones I did in high school to put into my portfolio and apply to art schools. And we also had it laid out in a specific order that would be best for entrance portfolios. At the time, I'm not really sure how it is now. So the first piece is a self-portrait, and I don't know why, but I feel like artists, before they go to actual art schools or art classes, we feel the need to put as much as we can into one piece. I wanted to prove that I could fit everything in one piece, make it as detailed as possible, so that, I don't know, it shows that I can draw. But at the same time, it's just over cluttered, and I don't, like, everything is in a different style. Like, I'm rendered really realistically, but then there's also a girl on a swing that looks like a total, like, she belongs in a comic book. And then there's some like entertainment character drawings on my shoulders, and there's like tentacles holding paintbrushes and confetti. I'm not really sure, it's kind of a mess. And then at the bottom right corner, it's a dog hanging onto a tentacle, and there's a cat flying in there. Like, this piece is just, from afar it looks okay, but when you start zooming in, it just starts looking really bad. I was really proud of this piece. This probably took me many weeks of just trying to smooth out my skin on my face. Looking back at it and learning through the years that, like, simplicity can be just as effective as something that's overly rendered. There's too much in this painting. So this is done with acrylic, and I remember what I did was I was trying to save money on my paints because I know they're really expensive, even though I got the acrylic basics from like Blix or something that, compared to what I used in actual art college, it was the cheapest thing ever. But this piece, I remember I was trying to water down the acrylic so that I would be using less of it, and I would literally squeeze out a tiny dot of paint and just dilute the whole thing with water and then paint. Which is, it's a look, like, I guess it works because most of it is in shadow, and usually when it's in shadow you can have more textures by diluting your paints, and then usually the more opaque paint you would want to use on the highlights so it pops more, versus like a more washed out shadow makes it look like it's pushed back or like not as prominent. But I clearly remember I was doing this to save paint. So yeah. I haven't really drawn portraits in a long time, and I wish I did, because for the majority of art school and before that, I would just draw pretty much portraits of people. I can't get the likeness as much anymore, especially like trying to stylize art. Oh, okay, I know what this is. So I think I was trying to portray good and the corrupt, I guess. So the guy in the middle has like he's reading a book, and then everyone around him is blindfolded because they're blind to their greed and their, I don't know, there's like a little girl with a butcher's knife and it's all bloody, and she has like a rainbow on her shirt. That is such a mood. Painting wise, it's okay. Like, there are, like, most of the image you can pretty much tell. You can like see the brush strokes, and not in a good way. Like, it's like a digital brush stroke where everything is just, like, it's not smooth enough to look good, but it's not rough enough to look bad, if that makes sense. Yeah, I remembered I did this in art honors in high school. I don't remember what this was about. I might have been reading Jane Austen, and it might have been a picture of not Jane Austen, a picture of someone from Pride and Prejudice. But yeah, I'm actually very surprised by how smooth her face looks in acrylic, because acrylic is really hard to create like a smooth, soft texture. And I'm guessing for the background I was trying to do like a Van Gogh thing, because there's the same brush stroke size just repeated all over. The next piece, this is also from figure drawing. Yeah, I was just getting into very digital pieces. One of my instructors sent me a bunch of digital brushes. I don't know, we were just like really excited about all the textures in the brushes. Yeah, but the way I painted it made this man look older than he actually was, because each line stroke just looks like another wrinkle. I think what I was trying to do with this piece was like the fountain of youth, and I also really wanted to draw animals and nature because it's magic. It just goes down and then goes back up by itself. I was actually really proud of this monkey that I drew, but now looking back at it, it's kind of very ugly. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't really like this piece, but I like how I did understand that the things that you want to be more focused on or like more prominent in the picture, you render it really detailedly. I didn't actually learn that that was a technique until I took Bob Cotto's class. So this is the first nude figure drawing that I'm gonna show you guys. We had these giant newsprint pads that we had to draw in every week, and we would do 1 minute drawings, 3 minute drawings, 5 minute drawings, etc, etc. We'll have some hour drawings or maybe multiple hour drawings. And this one was probably around, I'd want to say it was like a 20-minute drawing. I could have worked better on controlling my line. It looks like I kind of scribbled and like drew over the same line multiple times, which makes the image look very fuzzy. And after Art Center, I definitely was able to control my line better in figure drawing. It's okay. Like, maybe if it was cleaner, it would be okay. I remember I was really bad at hands, and so my hands would always just look very unfinished, and I would just try to hide it, you know, like if the model had her hand like up here, I would just like draw the back of the palm. So this next piece is actually, this was one of my favorite pieces. I think in high school I really focused on heartbreak, because I guess when you're young and you experience heartbreak for the first time, it feels like your world is ending, and like there's nothing beyond that one boy you really liked that utterly crushed your soul. But anyways, I got past that and made this piece. So it's pretty literal. There's a hole in this girl's chest right here. She's holding her heart and trying to bandage it up before all the sadness takes her heart away. Anyways, it looks pretty obvious, but I remember I was really proud of the hair because it was just like, for me during this time it was hard for me to get a really clean stroke of paint, so I thought this was clean. So every strand of hair that I did, I thought I was like just owning it, but now looking back at it, it's like super, it kind of looks like her hair's fried and not Pantene luscious. But look at that kneecap, she must work out or something. Here's some more figure drawings that I think these ones were the 5-minute ones. I actually really like these. Till today, I still think they're pretty decent for what they are. I also remembered that it was really hard to draw miniature faces, so I would just do like a panda eye look where like it's just like the eye socket and then the nose is just underneath the nose shadow right here, so it just looks like a panda bear. I tend to make them elongated for some reason. I would make the models look like they're 7 feet tall, when in reality they're like 5 feet tall. You just have to practice. We had to do a lot of figure drawing for Art Center, or like any art schools in general for their portfolio. Art colleges want you to be able to observe what's in front of you and be able to capture it on paper. If you can go without drawing figures based on pictures you see online and actually do it on person, if you can afford those classes, I would definitely take it. It's made me so much stronger in what I draw today. But for this piece specifically, I don't really like it. I think the technique I did was I would just draw it and then start erasing away at the highlights, but I think it's just too scribbly for my liking. I hate this piece. I don't know why that guy's being chopped in half. They're okay, but again, it has that thing that I do where I made them look like they're 7 feet tall when they're actually not. This one was a commentary on how technology is taking over everyone. and we're slowly becoming cyborgs, like in Doctor Who. There's not much more meaning than that. Yeah, and so I decided for some reason I would draw a grandpa reading newspaper. The olden times were the golden times. More figure drawings. I think these ones, oh, I marked it. Okay, this one was, it was 2 minutes per pose. I actually really like 2-minute poses because 1 minutes just feel too rushed, and I usually just end up with maybe like the skeleton of the figure, and it's not enough time to put the actual like volume and meat on the skeleton. But after 2 minutes, I start to focus in too much on the details. Like, it doesn't look good overall, versus 2 minutes where it's the perfect balance between trying to get the perfect flow of the figure, but also being able to have time to maybe put on the clothes that they're wearing. This next piece is one of my favorite figure drawings. It's because it pretty much looks like I drew it now in 2019 versus 2014. I think for me personally, what finishes off a piece the best is the way I draw the face. So the body doesn't have to be rendered as nicely, but once you have like the focal point of the face put in and it works out, it brings everything together. We're not going to talk about this one because I absolutely hate this piece. I probably drew this right after I drew my all-time favorite piece, so it's just like, did my artistic ability travel back in time to where I was, draw this piece, and then just went like, whoop, okay, I'm going back, see ya. I think for most schools it's required to have a few still life pieces where pretty much you set up a bunch of things and you draw it from observation. Yeah, so pretty much I think for this piece I was really focusing on textures and different types of textures. So I'll have a glass bottle texture with the shininess on it. I'll have a furry animal texture. I'll have a fruit texture, a wooden texture, a fabric texture, etc. And then, oh, I also have grapes. Okay, my favorite, if I had to choose my favorite rendered things in this piece, I think my favorites are the panda and also the grapes, because those two look the best to me. Everything else kind of just looks like I gave up halfway. The fabric doesn't even look like fabric, it just kind of looks like, it doesn't even look like anything. So the next piece is a oil pastel piece. This was my first time using oil pastels. I think the reason why I don't really like oil pastels is you can't get that really crisp looking image. Everything kind of just looks a little hazy and blurred together. But I do feel like my fabrics look nicer in this drawing versus the graphite one. It looks a lot softer and more natural. There's too many colors in this piece. Okay, I'm just gonna skip through these figure drawings really fast. Next is this elf lady. She kind of looks like she could be in Shrek. I remember during high school I had this whole phase where I would draw eyes very far apart, and then I would make the neck maybe twice as long as a regular person's neck, because I don't know, I guess that was my style at the time. I'm gonna skip that figure drawing because I don't like it, but those are 2-minute poses if you're wondering. If you don't know me personally, you wouldn't know that I really like horror movies and just all things paranormal. Even though I would be freaking terrified of doing something, I don't know, I still like watching horror movies and stuff like that. Yeah, so this piece is pretty much inspired by Bloody Mary, because as a kid I was so terrified of Bloody Mary. I pretty much, in elementary school, we would play this game where we would say her name 3 times into a mirror, and then she would pretty much come out. And I remember this one girl that I wasn't close friends with, she dragged me into the bathroom and set it to the mirror, and we started hearing tapping against the walls, and I'm pretty sure it's just like, I don't know, it's probably like the pipes creaking or something, but we were so scared. And ever since then, it's just all things paranormal. The perspective is bird's eye view, but for some reason, the sink has a vanishing point that's going like down, and the toilet seat cover is also bird's eye view for some reason. Everything is just not working. This was the first time I did something creative that had a lot of different lighting techniques and perspective and everything, so pat myself on the shoulder. That was a hard one. Skipping more figure drawings because I don't like them. Oh, okay, so that's it. So in total, this was like 25 pieces, and I think that was the requirement. It was like 15 to 20 something images for a portfolio. And then I also submitted scans of my sketches that we put into a PDF file as well. So also, as I mentioned earlier, I used to really like doing portraits. I would only do portraits, and every portrait I did was mainly a girl, unless it was a life drawing. Because for some reason, I only knew how to draw girls, and guys were just like off limits. Like, I just can't draw a guy. Everything I draw has to be a girl. And it's weird, because I still do that today. I don't really draw guys. On this page, I did a little draw this in your style but of Bob's Burgers. So that's Linda Belcher and Tina Belcher, if you watch Bob's Burgers. There's some sketches for that heartbreak piece I did. I think it's because I really like that sketch, so I turned it into a painting. Next page, Tadpoles. I think this guy in my art class, his name is Patrick, he was drawing tadpoles. So I also decided to draw tadpoles. Well, I would pretty much, especially maybe like before the second term of college, I would take a sketchbook literally everywhere I went, and I would be drawing nonstop in a sketchbook. Right now, I don't really do that practice. I feel like I should get back into it, but I feel like there's not enough time for some reason to sketch all the time. And occasionally I would whip out the acrylic paints and do some studies of scary things and portraits. I think while I was making this portfolio, or beginning this portfolio, I actually wanted to get into entertainment, but I'm glad I went into illustration because I feel like it's more of my thing. Like, I don't think I could see myself in entertainment or rendering characters and stuff like that. Not that I have anything against entertainment, it's mainly just personal preference. I am too impatient to draw the same thing over and over again, and if I have to create the environment, the characters, the props, everything for a story by myself, I would be so sick of that project within the first week. I like to make a thing and move on, and then make a thing and move on. I'm a very impatient person when it comes to art, I would say. Sketches for my tech piece. Pretty much these are some sketches involving time. This sketch is terrifying, and I am scared when I close my eyes in a bathtub or shower. It's just a thing. I feel like there's someone just watching me. But, you know, that's a personal problem. I drew some mermaids. I did some figure drawings in my sketchbook. A lot of figure drawings in my sketchbook. Ooh, I like these figure drawings. They're not too bad. Could be cleaner. And then the last page are some digital sketches that I did after I got my Intuos 5 tablet. But now I've had that tablet for many years. I stopped using it once I got to ArtCenter because everything pretty much turned back to traditional drawing and painting, and I kind of just lost touch with the digital side of drawing, especially with the tablet. Like, when I draw now, I use my iPad Pro, and I just can't draw on like a Wacom tablet anymore. Like, it's just the hand-eye coordination isn't as great with a tablet for me than like an iPad. Now I feel like I have to redeem myself and like show you some of my pieces now. What I draw like now, I would describe it as very simple, a very color-blocked kind of style. I occasionally like to mix in textures with Procreate brushes, but it's mainly now all digital just because I moved a month ago, and it was hard for me to move all my art supplies with me, so I pretty much only have inks and my iPad Pro. So that's pretty much what I've been using. I feel like there's still a big disconnect with my ink style and my digital style, just because ink just gives it a whole new texture that you can't get digitally. I like both styles. I just can't seem to find a way to balance both of them. Also, I think it's because like when I paint digitally, I like to use that function on Procreate where you can draw straight lines or like perfect circles. And so once I start drawing traditionally, I can't have that function in real life where I suddenly draw a really straight line very easily. I'd have to whip out a ruler or like a ellipse guide. Yeah, if you would want to see more of my works, you could check me out on Instagram. I'm apple.cheeks. I also have a website. It's tiffanytanart.com, and that's mainly more traditional pieces because that's what I show clients when I want, like what I would want to work on for clients. The digital stuff and like the cute stuff, I feel like for me are more like for myself, like for fun or making merchandise. But my actual portfolio pieces, I want it to be more elegant in this sort of way, and so I kind of do keep those two a bit separate. But yeah, thank you for joining me in my plant corner, and I hope you learned something from my portfolio ramble. So feel free to like and subscribe, and I don't want to be that one YouTuber that says hit the bell for notifications, but if you want to do that, I'm not gonna force you.